Eli Ward sat alone in the dark control room at the edge of the galaxy. The old listening station hummed around him, panels buzzing, fans whining. Red lights blinked slowly on metal walls. Outside the window, the stars looked like cold pinholes in black cloth. Most days, nothing happened at all. He watched the screens out of habit. Lines of numbers slid past. Static filled the speakers. Sometimes he caught old war broadcasts from battles over long ago. Sometimes it was only noise. He logged them, sent reports no one read, and waited for his shift to end. Then a new icon flashed on the main display. Incoming transmission. Eli straightened. The station was ancient. Its receivers were weak. New signals almost never came. He tapped a key, suddenly wide awake. Source, he asked. The computer answered in a calm, flat voice. Origin, Lithori system. Status, destroyed. Delay, 30,000 years. Eli stared at the words. Lythares. The name hit him like a punch. It was a dead system, burned in the Shade War. On the star charts it was a gray circle. No colonies, no travel lanes, no life. Nothing should be sending signals from there. And yet, something was. He opened the audio file. At first there was only static, a soft hiss, like distant rain. Then a voice pushed through. It was not human. It was light and musical, but thin and tired. Eli Ward, can you hear me? His breath caught in his throat. He knew that voice. It belonged to fire and smoke and a sky full of falling ships. It belonged to a girl with silver eyes and a glowing crystal in her hands. It belonged to one of the worst days of his life. He whispered. Memory dragged him back. He saw Lithoris on its last day. The sky burned orange and black as warships fought above. The ground shook with every blast. Buildings lay in broken heaps. Human dropships came down under heavy fire trying to pull people from the ruins before the shade swept over everything. Eli had been young then, just an engineer with oil on his hands. He fixed landing gear, patched holes, pushed evacuees up. Ramps, move, get in, go, go, he shouted, voice rough from smoke. In the middle of that chaos, he saw her. A small Lithari girl stood alone in the dust, her skin with a faint blue glow. Her silver eyes were calm in a strange, steady way. In her hand she held a small crystal charm that shone like a tiny star. Hey, Eli called, running toward her. This way. To the ship. She shook her head. There's no more space, she said in rough basic. They will take the little ones first. Behind her, half hidden in the ruins, he saw others. An old woman, a man with a bandaged leg, two small children clinging to each other. Too many for the last dropship still. On the ground. Eli had tried anyway. He pulled open the ramp and faced the officer inside. We can fit more, he said. Stack the cargo. Use the aisles, who will manage. We are already overweight, the officer snapped. We lift now or we die here. Close the ramp, Ward. That's an order. The ramp began to rise. Engines roared. Heat washed over him. Dust blew into his eyes. Eli stood there, fists clenched, feeling helpless and very small. He looked back at the girl. Ciro stepped closer through the smoke. Will the light reach us in time? She asked. She frowned. What light? She lifted the crystal charm. It glowed brighter as the bombardment grew worse. This is a piece of our sun, she said. We keep it alive so we remember who we are. If we stay and fight, will anyone remember us? Her question cut deeper than any blast. Eli dropped to one knee so their eyes were level. I will remember, he said. I will cross the galaxy if I have to. I will find you. I will tell your story, I promise. The ground shook so hard that he almost fell. Soldiers grabbed him and dragged him up the ramp. The last thing he saw before the doors closed was Ciro standing in the firelight, raising the crystal high. Its tiny star burned against the smoke and falling ash. They'll come back to the light, she shouted. Doors shut. The planet burned. The war moved on. Years passed, then decades. Eli grew older. The galaxy slowly healed. The shade fell silent. Lithoris turned into a gray mark in old reports, a name students memorized and then forgot. But now, in the dim red glow of the control room, her voice spoke to him again from across time. Eli replayed the message. Once, twice, 3 times. The sky is dark, Eli, the recording said softly. The light is almost gone. We still believe in your promise. His hands shook as he opened a channel to Fleet Command. After a pause, Admiral Kale's hard face appeared on the screen, framed by the clean lines of a modern warship's bridge. Sir, Eli said, forcing his voice to stay steady. I received a signal from Lithoris, from Sarah, from survivors. We have to respond. We have to send help. Kale frowned and glanced at a data stream off-screen. Lithoris is dead, Ward. It died in the Shade War 30,000 years ago. What you heard is old light. An echo. Nothing more. It's her. Eli insisted. She sounds older, but it's her. She says they're still waiting. The war is over, Kale said. We do not chase ghosts. Stay at your post. That is an order. The screen went dark. The station hummed around him like a tired animal. Red lights blinked. Outside, the stars kept their distance. Stay at your post, don't forget the promise. Eli turned back to the star map. Lithoris was a gray circle now, a dead place. No one visited, but near the edge of the display, he saw another symbol, a small, docked icon. An old prototype ship connected to the station. Test vessel. Dangerous FTL drive. Long-range. Forgotten. Eli looked again at the frozen screen where Sarah's message waited to play. If humans can cross the stars to kill, he said softly, they can cross them to keep a promise. He stood up from his chair, deep in the metal bones of the station. Ancient systems began to wake. Eli Ward woke up weightless. The world around him was a blur of stretched stars and twisting light. The ship's hull screamed like metal in pain. Warning symbols flashed in the cockpit, red and white, one over the other. FTL field unstable, hull stress critical, pilot life signs. Elevated. He could not breathe for a second. Space folded and unfolded around him like a broken mirror. Through the noise, a voice whispered, "Eli, you are late." It was Sarah's voice, but not the child from the burning planet. His voice was older, deeper. It echoed inside his head, inside the ship's systems. Inside the strange engine that was tearing space open, Eli grabbed the control sticks, fighting the spin computer. He shouted, "Cut the field! Drop us out now!" The engine roared, then choked. The ship shuddered hard, like it had hit something large and invisible. Light collapsed into darkness. For a moment there was nothing. No sound, no motion. Just black. Then stars slowly came back into view. Eli floated forward in his seat, lungs burning, heart pounding. The old prototype ship moaned as pressure Small sparks danced along a cracked panel to his left. "Stasis," he croaked. "FTL field disengaged," the computer replied. "Drive damage. Severe. Long-range jump capacity limited. Pilot damage. Mostly emotional." Eli let out a dry, shaky laugh. "Smart system. I didn't program you like that." "You didn't?" the computer said. The new voice did. His fingers froze over the controls. The new, what? Incoming pattern. The system continued. Source. Unknown. Style. Emotional. Identity. Possible match. Sira of Lithoris. Eli stared at the main display. A gentle line of code glowed there, moving like a heartbeat. Sira's name pulsed at the bottom. He swallowed. Played static at first. Then a woman's voice, strong but tired. "To the human who promised, this is Sira, or what is left of her. If you can hear this, it means our light still exists, but it does not burn forever. Hurry." The message cut, sliced off by some interference. Eli leaned back, eyes wide. CRO was not just a recording from the past. Somehow her voice was speaking to him through the ship, through the engine, through something else woven into the FTL system. He checked the star map. They had exited FTL near a cold, empty region. No living worlds, no trade lanes, only a dock with point of interest ahead. An old relay station, marked as abandoned war era. "Of course," he muttered. "Ghosts on ghosts." He said course. The relay station drifted in space like a dead insect. Its long antennae were broken, its hull scarred. End burned. A few weak lights still flickered along its spine. Eli guided his ship closer. Thrusters puffed. Metal rang as docking clamps locked into place. "Life signs?" he asked. "None," the computer replied. "No air, no heat, no heartbeat, only echoes." He put on his helmet and stepped into the airlock. The doors creaked, open into darkness. Dust floated in the zero gravity, tiny gray clouds that broke apart when he moved through them. His helmet light cut a narrow path ahead. Old signs in human and Lithari script hung crooked on the walls. Some doors were sealed, others were broken open by blasts. The relay had died fighting. He reached the control center. Panels were shattered, wires hung like metal vines. But in the center of the room was something that still glowed, a crystal core shaped like Cyrus' charm but much larger. It pulsed slowly with pale light. Eli walked closer, heart hammering. "Oh," he whispered. The crystal brightened at his voice. Data screens around it flickered to life, one by one. Old recordings began to play in the era. Little girls, with a face, then a teenage girl, then a young woman with the same silver eyes. "We are still here," Eli, one old recording said. "We still keep the light." We said another. "We still tell the children about the human who promised to return." Said a third. Each message had a date. The numbers stretched over centuries. Each gap between messages was another decade of struggle, of hiding, of waiting. They had kept sending signals into the dark. Long after any sane person would have stopped, Eli reached out and touched the crystal. Burned. Not with heat, but with memory. But for a heartbeat. He was not on the relay station. He was underground on a broken world. He saw tunnels lit by small sun fragments, Lithari families huddled together. Sira, older now, stood before her people with the charm in her hands. A human promised, she told them. So we keep the light, we keep the fight, we do not fall into the shade. The vision snapped. Eli stumbled back, gasping. Pilot brain activity spiked. The computer said in his ear, "Did you enjoy your hallucination?" "That was not a hallucination," Eli said. "That was connection." He looked down at the base of the crystal. There, half buried in wires, was something else, a small, dark shard with a faint shimmer. It looked almost like a piece of broken glass, but it hummed with power. "Quantum shard," he whispered, "linked to their last light." As he stared at it, the shard flared bright, and a new voice came through. Clear, sharp, alive. "Someone is near," Sarah's voice said. Not a recording, not old. "Now I can feel the human engine. I can feel your promise moving." Eli's throat tightened. "Zero," he said. "It's me, it's Eli, I'm coming to you." Silence for a second, then a soft, disbelieving laugh. "You are late," she said, "but our light is still burning. Not for long." Before he could answer, the station shook out a deep, cold sound, rolled through the hull, like a distant drum. Lights along the wall flickered and turned red. "Computer?" Eli snapped. "Multiple ships inbound," the system replied. "Signatures match. Shade Network, Hunter Craft." The enemy had found him. Of course they had. The flare of emotion, the strange engine, the old relay waking up, all of it was like a beacon in the dark. And the Shade hunted beacons. Eli ran back. Through the corridor, boots clanging on metal. Dust flew around him. Sirens started to wail, old and broken, but still trying. Outside the station window, he saw them, black angular ships, moving with cold, perfect precision. No wasted motion, no fear, no doubt. Emotional anomaly located. A flat machine voice whispered through the comm. Source, human promise. Threat level, unpredictable. Action, eliminate. His heart pounded. He launched himself into his ship, slammed the hatch, and broke the dock. "Get us out of here," he shouted. The thrusters fired. The ship pulled away from the dying station. Shade fighters turned, their weapons glowing with pale, sick light. Eli's hands flew over the controls. "Route to Lithoris," he barked. "Fastest path, any path. Calculated." The computer said, "Warning, new route requires one final major FTL jump. Probability of pilot survival, very poor. Do it anyway." Lasers cut through the darkness. They scraped the ship's hull, ripping away armor. One shot burned across the side, and set something on fire inside the walls. Sarah's voice whispered in his head through the shard. "If you are really coming, Eli, hurry. Our last light is almost gone." He gritted his teeth. "Hang on," he said. "Humans are slow to wake up, but once we start moving," he slammed his hand on the FTL control, "we don't stop." Space folded around him again, heavy and sharp. The ship screamed. The Shade fire vanished behind the sudden curtain of twisted light. Eli Ward and his broken ship hurled themselves toward a system that should not exist anymore, toward a people who had waited 30,000 years, and toward a promise stronger than light. Eli's ship fell out of FTL like a stone thrown into black water. The jump ended with a violent jolt. The cockpit lights flickered. A crack crawled across the main display. Eli's head hit the seat hard, and for a moment he saw nothing but white sparks. Then the stars came into focus. He wished they hadn't. Ahead of him was not a world, not a living system, but a graveyard. Broken moons floated like giant bones. Huge chunks of rock drifted in slow circles where a planet should have been. The center of the system was a dark, silent wound. Lithoris, he whispered. Once it had been a blue world. Now it was missing, ripped apart long ago. All that remained were cold stones and old ghosts. The computer's voice cut through his thoughts. "Pilot, scan detects an unusual energy source where inside the asteroid field. Pattern does not match natural light. It is organized." Eli squinted at the screen. A faint pulse blinked from deep inside the broken rocks. It was small, but steady, like a heartbeat. "The last light," he said. He guided the ship forward, engines burning weakly. The hull creaked. Warnings blinked, then gave up and turned off. The old prototype was exhausted. The deeper he flew into the field, the more strange it felt. The broken stones were not random. Many had carved surfaces. Some were hollowed out. Old metal frames connected rock to rock, like bones in a skeleton. Lithoris had not died quietly. They had rebuilt something. Inside their own grave. At that very center, he finally saw it. A small, artificial sun shone inside a hollowed-out asteroid. It was no bigger than a city, but its light was sharp and white, pressed inward by containment rings. Structures clung to the inner walls like dark islands around a tiny star. The last light of Lithoris. Eli's breath caught. "You really did it," he said softly. "You stole a piece of your sun and refused to let it die." The quantum shard in his pocket warmed. A voice flowed through the ship, clear and close. "We had help," Sarah said. "Your promise burned with us for a long time." He froze. "Sarah, are you alive?" he asked. There was a pause, then a sad, gentle laugh. Not in the way you mean. My body returned to dust centuries ago, like yours will one day. People kept my mind, piece by piece, inside the light. Stories, memories, choices. I am Sira. And also more than Sira. I am everyone who believed you would come. Eli closed his eyes for a moment. I'm late, he said. You are, she agreed. But you're also here. That is what matters. Before he could answer, the ship shook. A sharp alarm screamed in his ears. Incoming vessels. The computer reported Shade network signatures. If they followed your jump echo, they will reach the last light in 6 minutes. Eli looked at the sensor display. Shades moved in from 3 directions, black shapes cutting through the field, searching for a clear line of fire. If they reached the artificial sun, they would destroy it. They always destroyed what they did not understand. And they never understood love. Can you hide, Eli? Asked Sira quickly. Can you shut down the light? No, she said. If we dim it, our people die. If we turn it off, our stories break and the Shade can still crush the stone around us. The computer spoke again. Ship weapons are weak. Shields are nearly gone. Direct fight equals direct death. So nothing new, Eli muttered. He stared at the tiny star on his screen. He thought about promise, about time, about light that needed thousands of years to travel between stars. Then another idea came. It was insane. But humans were very good at insane ideas. Computer, he said slowly, what happens if we drive the FTL engine into that artificial sun? Result, total destruction of this ship, it answered, and likely explosion of the last light. Sira's voice cut in. That is not an option. Human, wait, Eli said. I'm not done. What if we don't use FTL for travel? What if we use it as a hammer, as a signal amplifier? The computer went quiet for a moment, running numbers and it finally said. Eli leaned forward, eyes bright, despite everything. Your engine bends space, he said. The last light is already a focused energy source. If we crash, the FTL filled into the heart of that light while sending data. We might create a wave that doesn't care about normal space rules. A story wave, a pulse that carries every memory, every promise, beyond light speed. Not a ship jump, a message jump, a broadcast stronger than light, Sira whispered. Yeah, Eli said. If the Shade wants to kill a story, we make it too big to kill. The promise doesn't stay here. It goes everywhere, to every human system, to every Lithari fragment hiding in the dark, to anyone who can hear. The computer spoke in a flat tone. Chance of survival for this vessel. And pilot, Zero. Eli smiled without humor. We knew that when we left the station. The Shade ships came closer on the display, forming a tightening net around the asteroid that held the last light. Their weapons began to warm, glowing sickly pale. Sira, Eli said quietly, can you send me everything? All your messages, all your songs, all your stories, everything your people save inside that little sun. It will burn you, she said. I'm already burning, he answered, and I am very tired of burning alone. That set the whole sky on fire. There was a long silence. Then the shard flared, hot against his hand. Very well, Eli Ward, Sira said. Then we burned together. Information flooded into the ship. Images, sounds, languages, faces. Centuries of Lithari struggle and hope poured into the engine core. Their fear, their courage, the way they told children about the human who promised, the way that promise became a legend, then a prayer, then a stubborn, quiet truth. The FTL drive began to scream as it filled with more than numbers. It filled with meaning. The Shades opened fire. Beams of white death tore through the asteroid field. Rocks exploded outward. One shot clipped Eli's ship, tearing off a wing of metal. The whole vessel spun violently. Eli fought the controls, teeth gritted. Hold together, he shouted. Just a little more. The artificial sun grew huge in his window. Brighter, closer. Its light washed over him, pure and white, erasing shadows inside the cockpit. Eli, Sira said softly, her voice now all around him. Why did you come? He laughed, even as tears ran down his face, because I said I would. The computer's voice was calm now, almost gentle. FTL field overloaded, ready to collapse. Then collapse it, Eli said. Right into the heart. He pointed the nose of the ship at the small star and pushed the throttle all the way forward. For one heartbeat, there was only silence. Then the universe screamed. The ship hit the edge of the artificial sun, and the FTL field collapsed inward, crushing light and story together. Time twisted. Space folded. The last light burst, not outward like an explosion, but everywhere like a song. A wave of information raced across the galaxy, faster than any ship. Every human relay, every hidden Lithari shard, every quiet listening station picked it up. On distant worlds, children woke from sleep with strange images in their minds. A burning planet, a girl with a crystal, a human kneeling to make a promise. On a human capital ship, Admiral Calais stared at his screens in shock as thousands of messages hit at once, all carrying the same simple idea. We waited. He came, in hidden caves of other lost Lithari colonies, dark crystals lit for the first time in ages. Voices whispered, the human kept his word. We are not alone. The Shade Network's prediction models shattered. Their cold logic could not understand a sacrifice that made no tactical sense. Their lines of code broke under the weight of something they never planned for. Larbet refused to stop at the speed of light. In the center of the broken system, where Lithoris once stood, the artificial sun slowly dimmed. The structure around it cracked and fell, but not in despair. Its work was done. There was no ship left, no pilot, only a quiet glow where Eli Ward had been. Years later, on a new world, built by humans and Lithari together, a monument stood in a bright city square. Children played around it, running between carved stone wings and metal panels. At the top of the monument, a small crystal charm shone with steady light. On the base, in 2 languages, simple words were written. Eli Wod. He crossed the galaxy not to conquer, not to flee, but to keep a promise. At night, under the stars, the old stories were told again and again, about a girl who kept a son alive, about a human who arrived late, but still came, about a wave of light that carried their names across the sky, and somewhere, in the quiet space between worlds, when listening posts caught soft whispers in the static, some people swore they could still hear 2 voices, laughing together. 1. Human. 1 Lithari, a promise. Still moving, still stronger than light.